This podcast will hopefully contain words or statements of obscene, pornographic, or immoral character. You have been warned.
Received dozens of emails from people that'll listen to the podcast. The podcast.
Wow,
The
it is
podcast.
pretty much.
Well, we're back.
Welcome to episode 56.
I'm back. Fred was here last week.
Dun, dun, dun. Good old Fredwards.
Yep. Thanks, Fred, for filling in, as always. I haven't had a chance to listen to your episode yet, but I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, I doubt that, but I believe you. Ish. Not really.
So, the first thing I wanted to talk about today, get the bad news out of the way first, but I wanted to talk about this guy.
Oh.
And I wanted to talk about how I can't remember a time when a celebrity death really kind of shook me as much as the loss of Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman. I was coming back from a really fun, exciting weekend of excitement and adventure to get the news that he had passed away. And it kind of just like, yeah, it like so bummed me out.
Yeah, I'm totally bummed. I actually posted up my rest in peace, which is something I usually don't fucking do, but he is, whether he's beaten off in the fucking theatre or not, I can let that slide. Who hasn't?
Yeah.
But he just got caught.
He did just get caught. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I definitely had thought in the past that I just kind of assumed we would eventually probably do an episode about Pee Wee Herman. I just kind of felt that would be inevitable just based on, I don't know. Like I just feel like probably a lot of people from our generation were pretty heavily influenced by him and in some form or another in their life. I think for me specifically, I mean, I can't even put into words how influential Pee Wee's Playhouse and Pee Wee's Big Adventure was to me as a kid. And I think just a big part of how I became and why I became the person I am as an adult is definitely at least like 15 to 20% of that is from Pee Wee Herman.
You've thought about it far much more than I have. I think about it and I think about like, you know, the kind of gateway, or it wasn't a gateway into like an area. It was more of an acceptance. Like the fact that the Team Murray freestyle team was in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Like that was that was a huge fucking acknowledgement that, hey, there's a subsect of biking out there that's not about my 10 speed. It's about, you know, doing tricks and kind of having a different type of fun on the bike. And that, you know, he kind of like brought, and I'm sure, you know, that has a lot to do with Tim Burton as well. But his face was stamped on it. His name was stamped on it.
Yeah, sure.
So it kind of, you know, resonated. And then that, you know, it all kind of played together. And like just, you know, being the big kid. Dude, I never wanted to grow up. Pee Wee was there.
Yeah.
He had all the cool toys. You still have all your cool toys. I'm hurting on cool toys.
Yeah.
They're all boxed up in the basement. But it was just like, it was kind of an opening to a subculture that, you know, maybe didn't get the acknowledgement it did before, to me.
Yeah. No, I mean, you summed it up perfectly. I mean, yeah, I just think he was the, like, I mean, I can't say the first, but to me, he was the first mainstream example of a hero for like outsiders. basically like if as a little kid, if you're a little kid who knew as a little kid you were different somehow from other people and you're just too little to even know why yet or like figure it out, that could sometimes be scary. Like just I have a very vivid memory of going to a park as a little kid and seeing a bunch of, I was probably maybe 7 or 8 years old, and seeing a big like little league baseball game going on. And I wasn't into sports really at all. And I just remember like watching this little league baseball game. I had rode my bike to this park and I just kind of stopped and was watching it. It was my first encounter seeing a little league baseball game. And I remembered there being such this like primal disconnect in me of not understanding anything I was seeing. Like, I just didn't have any relation to sports. So I was like, whoa, this is weird. Like I knew what baseball was, but seeing other kids my age playing it, it was like so weird. And I felt so like, wow, this whole thing is going on. And I don't even like know anything about it. And just listening at the parents like screaming and yelling at the kids and just, it all felt so overwhelming and it felt like really unsafe for some reason. I remember having a feeling of like, I'm so glad I don't do this. And I think that like Pee Wee Herman to me was the, like you kind of said it, he made it acceptable to be the kid that didn't play little league baseball and had imagination outside of like shit that they were forced into by their parents and stuff. So I think like for me, he really represented the freedom to be a weirdo and to be a person who's maybe not completely in with all the norms of society, and like it's okay to use your imagination. It's okay to play with toys when you get older. It's okay to like have like crazy colors in your life and just, I don't know, just like representing everything outside of the box. And like that was just so influential to me of like giving me permission to sort of like be who I wanted to be because I saw him do it as well.
Yes, absolutely. I totally, I once again cannot argue that point at all. Maybe not the baseball. My parents was like, well, if you can find a way there, you can play. I'm like, well, I'm fucking 10 years old. What do you want?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
But I think he did. He was a representation of an outsider in a positive, not fucking bad boy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know, he wasn't an outsider who was an outcast, who was usually the villain. Or
yeah, he didn't have a switchblade and a black tank top.
Exactly. He had a fucking bow tie.
Yeah.
You know, so that to me is, I think, the takeaway and where his importance, whether what he did on or off camera, dude, fucking people have lives. Like that shit to me is somebody looking for fucking attention, being people trying to get paid for fucking, you know, story just because he's in there cleaning his pipes.
Yeah.
Because he's the only person ever cleaned his pipes in that theater. My ass. My ass.
Yeah. And I mean, and like, obviously it's a bummer that happened and he got caught with all that stuff, but like one of the most iconic mugshots of all time, especially if you are like a lifelong fan of Pee Wee Herman. I don't know. Like, I think to me, when that happened, it was, zero judgment anyway. Cause like you said, like, beating off in a movie theater, who gives a fuck? It's like, I mean, I've never done that, but like, who cares? Like, people have done it. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, I don't think he was in there watching fucking Bambi. I think he was in there watching some adult type cinema. It wasn't fucking, the Sound of Music.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like he He's an adult. He was doing it in a place where that's like basically accepted or whatnot. But like more than anything, when that came out, I mean, obviously we all thought it was funny and like joked about it and stuff. But at the same time, it was like it's. I thought it was. I liked it from the aspect of it. It just humanized him more. It's like, yeah, he's this Pee Wee Herman character and this beloved character and stuff, but like he's also still just like a dude who's like has his own normal life and stuff going on.
So, if I remember correctly, after that happened, like months after, there was a reappearance, and his first fucking like step out or was her first line was, "Have you heard any good jokes lately?" And it was just the whole fucking owning it. It was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yep, that was me.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, it's like his early beginnings, like before the Pee Wee rise and all that stuff, no pun intended, but he was in that comedy troupe or whatever, and I think that was all like pretty risque shit. And
It was. I think
yeah.
him and the kid Amanda and I just watched it a little while ago before he passed away. I think they're on HBO Max right now, and he had his little fucking mirrors on his shoes, and they were looking up the one boy's sister's dress. I mean, so knowing, I mean, once again, it is what it is with that, but I think you were correct in saying it. Like it was just, it was an outsider who wasn't a fucking violent creep coming in and being the fucking antagonist of the story. He was the story.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I watched Pee Wee's Playhouse religiously every Saturday, and I watched that. I was still watching that because I think it was on 4 or 5 seasons, I believe, and I was definitely still watching that show. Probably a year or two past when most kids my age probably stopped watching it. Like I was just like, I'll watch this show forever if it like never goes off the air. Like I don't care like how old I am.
I think that's the magic of fucking not being overwhelmed with saturated, I guess is really the right word, with that type of media constantly, like on the Cartoon Network or something, is you can get away from watching because you can only watch it once a week.
Yeah.
So you can go fucking Scooby-Doo. How long did they roll on just fucking the original first 2 seasons? And then the only thing they did was fuck it up when they tried to make new ones. I was just content watching fucking I was Captain Cutler or whatever the fuck his name was 100 times versus Shaggy and whatever Scrappy doing dumb shit. Like I don't.
Oh God.
But I mean, it was that chance that you could that stuff lived on, and we didn't have a way to watch it or binge it, or so you could watch it religiously, and fucking 2 years later, it still works for you.
Yeah.
Because you've not saturated yourself with it. It's like you only got this one shot. So
yeah, no, that's really true, and that's a good point. And yeah, that show was amazing. And I'll tell you another thing that's really fucking cool is that I know we keep putting it off. We're going to do our like full blown toy episode at some point, but about 2 years ago, I actually finally completed my Pee Wee Herman toy collection, which I had been working on for a number of years. So I have the pool toy doll, which I just showed on the camera. I've had that for a long time though, but I started collecting them. So Matchbox actually did a line of Pee Wee action figures in like the late 80s.
what?
Yeah, and they
Did
had
not know that.
they had like a whole like playhouse play set, and like pretty much every single character on the show they had figures for. It was a pretty extensive line of figures. And yeah, I had like a couple that I picked up at like a flea market or something. I had like Cherry, and I had the actual Pee Wee figure, and I think I had like Randy or the 3 that
Right.
I had. And there was like 12 more that I was missing. So I finally, just about 2 years ago, got all of them. So now I'm just like, dude, like all that shit's probably gonna fucking skyrocket in price. So I'm glad I was able to get that shit when I did.
So it's funny you bring up the pool toy because we had one and it used to sit in the boys' bedroom.
Well, hold
But
on. We should clarify. This is not like a swimming pool toy. When we say pool toy, we mean it has a string in the back you pull and he talks. For those who aren't in the know.
So,
although a Pee Wee Herman swimming pool toy would actually be pretty fucking awesome.
Fucking awesome. Oh shit. But the mechanism was fucked up in it. And eventually we had to take it out of the boys' room because it would randomly fucking go off.
Right.
At like super slow speeds. So everything was
sound possessed.
Yes. So eventually we had to remove it. Because it would just go off in the middle of the night.
That's so fucking creepy.
I didn't think my house was fucking haunted.
Well, so I can honestly say I haven't pulled the string on this in I don't know how long. So I don't even know what he even does. So let's see if he does anything. So nope. Yeah.
Now you gotta fucking hold it.
Yeah. So Pee Wee's possessed as well.
Yeah, yours about the same shape ours was.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck happened to that one. I might still have it.
And I have this as well. This is on my desk. So yeah,
that is awesome. He has bobblehead in his hand.
This is not a passing phase. This isn't just a topical scenario for the podcast. I am a lifetime believer of Pee Wee Herman.
We need shirts.
Yeah. Lifetime believer of Pee Wee. I'd wear that
like
shirt.
the Sasquatch fucking believer shirts.
Yeah.
Of a Pee Wee believer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and the last thing I'll say about this as well, that I think just really, this is probably like the biggest bummer high of the whole situation, but just the fact of that he had cancer and basically kept it a secret. And I don't know, that cancer is just so horrible in general, but then to be someone as in the limelight, not that he was in the limelight so much, but he's like a famous person, and him being sick would have been fodder for like media and shit to like exploit and make stories about him all the time, like being sick, like what's the update with Paul Rubens and all that. And he wanted people to remember him as Pee Wee Herman. He didn't want to be remembered as the sick guy who used to be Pee Wee Herman.
Right. I'm all on board with that. That's totally his business.
Yeah, it's his business, and I just think it speaks so much to just who he was as a person and how he respected that character and respected how much that character meant to people. And he was able to make basically it was a very selfless thing to do, to like keep his sickness to himself, to preserve the legacy of like what he built through that character. And yeah, I just think that's really cool that he like went out that way. And like now super fans like us, I don't ever have to be like, oh man, like every time I watch Pee Wee Herman show or like Pee Wee's Big Adventure, I don't have an image of seeing his like sick face in like in my head. Like, so
yeah, him withering away. Yeah. I'm with you.
So anyway, RIP to Pee Wee Herman.
Yes, that's sad. All right, let's do something happy.
Yeah, let's do something
birthday.
happy. Yeah, so my birthday was last week. I did a bunch of cool stuff for my birthday. The first being I finally got to see Cypress Hill, which I think we've talked about this on episodes in the past, that they are on my list of bands that I've just always wanted to see. I'm not the biggest hip hop guy, but the few select bands that I do like, they're definitely probably my favorite hip hop band of all time. I've loved them since they came out. There, for whatever reason, they were just the one sort of hip hop band that just really clicked with me for some reason. I think like skateboarding was kind of part of that a little bit. But yeah, so anyway, finally got to see them. And dude, I seriously can't explain in words how epic that fucking show was, man. It was, well, first of all, so they played, it's the 30th anniversary of their second album, Black Sunday. So that's what this whole like tour thing is about. And they are doing they're playing the whole album from start to finish in the exact order as the album was released. And they are doing it with whatever town they're going to, they're doing it with that symphony orchestra from that town. So they did, cool. Yeah. So they did that whole Black Sunday record here with the San Diego Symphony Orchestra. And it was fucking awesome. Like, I swear to God, I'm not just saying this. I mean, I'm a little bit biased because I was really excited to finally see them. But that record, so the first, if anyone who is familiar with Cypress Hill, their first record is like very it's just sort of like traditional hip hop in the sense that it's a little more like upbeat and just kind of, I don't know, it's just got like swag. It's just like, it's very like, it's bouncy and it's just like more upbeat. Black Sunday is definitely of like a darker vibe. It's like basically like has like heavy metal and punk influence in it. I don't know. It's like really heavy and like really raw. And just even like the way the vocal phrasings are and stuff, they're just a little bit different than the first one. It just definitely is heavier overall. So then you throw in the orchestra with like all the cellos and just like all the deep fucking like baritone type shit. And it sounded like, honestly, it may have been to one of the heaviest concerts I've ever seen in my life. Like heavier than some like metal and hardcore shows I've been to easily. Like it just sounded so fucking crazy low and heavy. And then just the way that the instruments matched their singing so well. It was awesome, dude. I swear that it was probably, I'd say I'd put that show definitely in the top 3 or top 5 best concerts I've ever seen in my entire life.
So where was the show?
It was an outside show. It was at that place called the Rady Shell, which we've talked about on a previous podcast. It's where I went and watched the Psychedelic Furs outside, where you can still hear it just as good outside the venue. But we actually went in, we paid and went in. But yeah, it sounded amazing. It just, for being outside, because a lot of times outside stuff doesn't always translate the best depending on the genre of music. But this was just incredible. And this, one of my favorite songs off of that album is A to the K. And when they played that song, no shit, dude, that song was heavier. Like, that was the heaviest song I've ever heard live ever of any hardcore band. Like,
do you think it's the orchestration versus the song itself, like how it's composed, like in the back, that brought all that, like, I guess
I think what happened was like these songs are really good on the recording, but I forget, I watched some interview with this person a while back. I forget who it was, but they were basically talking about songwriting and like the fundamentals of songwriting, and just that if a song is good, you can play it in any genre of music and it still will be good. And I think that, that's not the case with all music. So I think that they proved through this concert that their songs can really be translated into sort of like any genre. And they have a record called Skull and Bones that they put out, which was them sort of venturing into sort of like heavy metal territory. Like they actually had like drums and guitars and stuff on this record. And like it's fucking cool. It's like a cool fucking record. But yeah, I think it's just showing that like how well their music just like translates, that they're just good songs. And but yeah, when they played A to the K, and it's funny, dude, I was fucking wilding out at this show so much, like way more than I've probably wilded out at any show in like a really long time. Like after the show, we were leaving, and I remember I made the comment, I was like, if anybody, like, luckily most of the crowd there is like more like Gen X people, so not like a lot of like young people with their phones out constantly and shit. But I was like, I definitely would not be surprised if I show up on the internet as a meme one day of like somebody filming me just like fucking going off to Cypress Hill. And like, and we were just like joking, like, what would people even write? It'd be like, check out this fucking old guy living his best life at the Cypress Hill concert.
So bad.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was fucking really cool, man. And they played a couple extra songs at the end, which was cool because I wasn't sure if they were going to just stick to the album. But yeah, they did play a couple like banger hits at the end that was pretty cool outside of that record. But it was just cool, man. Like everything about it, like they were dressed up in like suits too. So they kind of had like this whole like formal look for like playing with the symphony. So that was just a cool little even extra touch to elevate it to this whole other level of like making them not just seem so much like this like street level hip hop band. It's like they were in suits and playing these like fucking crazy songs
with an orchestra.
Yeah, but I swear to God, I fucking dare Hatebreed to fucking write a fucking breakdown as heavy as A to the K was live. Like, never gonna happen. Like, that shit was just like so hard, dude. It was awesome.
So you remember as kids, like you would, because the music you listened to, it was very rare to see it on fucking TV. So you'd wait for it to show up and they'd be on like an award show. So all of a sudden there was orchestration to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what the fuck is this trash?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like, I don't need to see men at work with strings.
Yeah.
Like, they're cool the way it is.
Yeah.
It's funny because I thought about that recently, just how much I enjoy orchestration and music than when I was a kid and fucking, like I said, Aerosmith comes out and they've got a fucking orchestra behind them because that's what's there. And it's like, what the fuck? So it's funny to kind of look back at my childhood being so disappointed by having strings in it and now like loving it.
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same way. Like the old me would have been like, this is fucking stupid. Like, fuck this sellout bullshit. And like,
Yes.
But like now I'm like, yeah, I'm the same way. It's like any band that I know, I'm familiar with their music, and then you can add the symphony in, like I'm all about it. Like, yeah, give me more of that.
Yeah, I know that fucking what's the Def Leppard just did theirs with the London Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that yet.
Doodle's pretty happy except for one song, like I think her favorite song they might not have been too stellar on. But the rest of it was really good.
Yeah, well, I think, there's probably some songs of all bands that aren't going to translate well into that environment, but I think for the most part, like thinking about all the bands who would never probably have a symphony, but would be cool for them to have a symphony. And the very first thing that popped in my head was Happy Flowers.
How awful would that be?
Could you just imagine the sheer pain of like being at that show? Like it would be so cringy and so great at the same time.
So would it be that the orchestra actually plays music behind them, like sheet music that
like real
flows.
music,
real music,
or
are they just as chaotic as the Happy Flower?
Fuck, I don't know. I guess it could go either way. I think maybe in theory, the best thing you could hope for would be that the orchestra is as chaotic as the band. But I think in reality, you probably wouldn't want that. I think it would be too much.
I just came up with it. I think they want to have them play the music, but they need to have like the Tingler fucking seats. So like halfway through the song, they can hit a button and they fucking zap somebody randomly in the fucking orchestra. So it goes like all swirly.
Also, not the crowd has a zap seat. The orchestra has a zap seat.
The orchestra has zap seats.
Okay.
So they're playing, all of a sudden it's like squiggle, squiggle, squiggle.
Yeah.
That might be magical.
Fuck.
Like that would take it. That'd be next level. All of a sudden, your fucking metal seat is just fucking shocking the shit out of you. I think I would be stoked on that.
Yeah.
Well, it's always like they had the quintet that used to do like all the fucking death metal and hardcore bands.
Yeah, because they do I forget
Slayer,
what they're called, but they do like Slayer and Metallica and stuff.
And those were always fucking awesome. But I think the Metallica ones were better than the Slayer ones. But to blend them, I think the Slayer and like Slayer with that orchestration would be fucking incredible. Like I think like they rely a little bit more. I'm thinking of writing the E and shit where it's not as strong as like kind of going lots of chords and stuff.
Right.
So I think the blending of those two, now it sounds like a fucking project. See if I can find those old ones and blend the fucking Slayer song with the fucking orchestration. That might be
that would actually be
badass
cool.
Project. Glad you thought of it.
That would. Yeah, no, that's awesome. You should definitely do that. Well, talking about bands who their songs are so good they can cross multiple genres. I was just introduced to Jazz Sabbath last week, and Jazz Sabbath is the perfect example of showcasing that Black Sabbath songs are just really well written songs, no matter what genre you stick them in, because Fairies Wear Boots,
Dude,
played by Jazz Sabbath, is like the coolest jazz song I've ever heard in my life.
I might have to fucking look that one up because that is my jam. That's my favorite Sabbath song. So to hear a jazzy version, and I'm not a jazz person, but
yeah, I'm not either. I can fuck around with some jazz here and there. It's not something I'm ever gonna like really put on myself, but if I'm in a car, like my friend Jordan listens to jazz on occasion, so sometimes in his car I'll hear some jazz, and just whatever, at a restaurant or random places in life I'll hear some jazz and it's cool, but I don't own any jazz. It's not something I'm seeking out. However, Jazz Sabbath is just what I was looking for to get a jazz fix. I think
that's awesome. I think they've been done in bluegrass and they're fucking awesome too. So yes, I think you're correct.
Well, there's Buddy Love. So have you ever heard of Buddy Love?
No, because I'm thinking of the fucking wrestling.
No. Well, Buddy Love was a guy. I don't know if he's still playing. He was.
Yes, I know who you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, he was even a little bit older, like 15 years ago when we were going to see him. But he was kind of like a big deal out here in Southern California. He was playing a lot. I think he kind of played like the sort of casino circuit and that kind of shit. But I have one of his records, and he did a bunch of Black Sabbath songs as like lounge songs. And they were really funny.
I was thinking of Brother Love, and he is passed away, I believe. Phil can jump in and give us the depth of that.
Yeah, different guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Buddy Love's another cool guy to check out for taking music into a different realm. So I guess with the symphony thing being said, what do you think? Do you think the Craven Moorheads could benefit from a symphony?
Oh, hell yeah. You know my feelings on that. Oh, hell yeah. That would be awesome. We should do hilarious. Alive in the Park with Craven Moorheads.
Yeah.
A symphonic
Yeah.
blood fart would be wonderful.
I definitely think some of our songs could be made pretty cool that way. Some others maybe not so much, but yeah, be interesting. We just need thousands and thousands of dollars to hire the people to do it.
That there might be an issue, but besides that, I think we got a lot of stuff working in our positive nature for us.
We definitely do. Well, so aside from Cypress Hill, I also got to see Ween again last week.
How many fucking times can you see these guys? I mean, I like them, but not your level of liking them.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're like one of my favorite bands. So, and they were actually playing on my actual birthday.
Okay, I'll let it slide this time.
So that was pretty fucking cool. It's like, I
right.
got to go see one of my favorite all-time bands on my actual birthday. Although they didn't play the song Birthday Boy. I was a little bit disappointed by that because that would have been awesome.
Birthday Boy for me.
But they did sound really awesome. The set list was pretty cool. I loved all the songs that they played, but they definitely were playing sort of like whatever, if you could say that they have like a greatest hits list. It was definitely like all the greatest hits from all the albums, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but
most people would want to see that. Just want to interject that for the fans out there. Just
most people do want to see that, and it was definitely
it was reference your Cure experience.
Yeah, it was definitely a fan. It was definitely a fan favorite set list, which is fine. I was hoping for a little more obscurity on some of the more like kind of whacked out shit. But it was definitely more of all their sort of more we're real musician songs, which I do love that version of the band, but I love the fucked up experimental punk side of the band just as much. So they didn't really kind of touch on that stuff too much, but the show was awesome. Had a really good time. But the other thing we did for my birthday, which is something I was really apprehensive about trying, but I've been wanting to do it, is we went to this, I don't even know what you even consider this place. It's like I don't know, health and wellness center, I guess. But I did cryotherapy. I've always wanted to try the cryotherapy, so I did that. And we did the
Did you do a float tank?
I've done float tank before, but no, we did this thing. I forget what they call the actual things, but they're basically these pants you put on and they fucking like puff up. They like expand and like compress on your legs and like basically like massage your legs from your ankles up to your hips. They're like athletes use them and stuff for like
what about
repair.
Your wing dang do?
No,
it doesn't massage your wing dang.
You definitely do not want that in these pants, because you would be a girl after.
So they're super compression pants.
They're well. You can dial in the compression level. So, they go from like 1 to 7, I think 7 or 8, and they started me out on a 7. And within like 5 minutes, I was like, this is fucking too gnarly. So I had them like back it off. I took it down to like a 5, and the 5 was okay. So I'm sitting there and these things like, so they start down at your ankles and they start to swell up. They like compress your ankles and then it moves up. I think there's like 5 levels throughout the pant. So it starts at your ankles and then it swells up on your mid shin, right, and it swells up like right below your knee and swells up on your knee and then like up on your thigh. So it does it in sections. And then once it gets to the top section, it holds for like 20 seconds and then they all slowly release. Then you feel like all the blood like rush back in and stuff. So it's pretty crazy. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is cool. But I was like, I would probably get more benefit if they had these for your arms instead of your legs. You know, just from like being on the computer and like playing guitar and just do way more shit with my arms in weird positions.
So I was going to tell you, I just went from the vision of Bob and Doug McKenzie, Strange Brew, giving each other electric shock therapy. No, this time turn up to 10, like fighting over who's going to get it, to the little kid in Christmas Story outside and with the fucking big winter jacket on and can't move his arms.
Exactly. So I made that comment in this place. So there's a guy who kind of like comes in and checks on you and stuff. And I had been in the leg version of these pants things for like, I don't know, 10 minutes. And I was just like, yeah, I don't know if I'm like really liking this. Like, it's fine, but like, I want these for my arms. So the dude comes in and he's like, how's everything going? And it's like, oh, it's cool. And I said, totally random question. I was like, do you actually have these, but for arms instead? I was like, I feel like I want to try them with my arms. And he's like, as a matter of fact, we do have them for your arms. And
For a small fee.
no one really, what's
I said,
that?
for a small fee, we can add them
No,
on.
it was included. So he's like, well, do you want to keep the pants on and put the arms on at the same time? Or do you want to take the legs off? And I was like, if I keep them all on, I was like, I'm afraid I'm going to look like the kid from A Christmas Story. So you nailed it on that.
Here's the sitch. There's been a glitch.
So we had some technical difficulties, but we're back now. And so we were talking about the puff pants and the puff arms. And I think where I had left off is the guy had come in and I told him I wanted to try the arm versions. And he's like, well, you're not going to be able to use your arms for like the next 15 minutes when we put these on. He's like, so if you need to do anything on your phone or if you need to do anything, you like, basically you can't. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I don't need to do anything. So puts these arm things on and they like start kind of like at your mid hand, like below your wrist a little bit. And they go the whole way up to the top of your shoulder and they like strap around. So you put one on, there's separate things. So you put one on at a time. So you're sitting there and the machine comes on and like starts to like puff up at your wrist. And then once it gets up to your elbow is when your arms start to raise up. So it was like so funny. I like you were saying, like my very first thought was, I'm like, I look like the fucking kid from A Christmas Story. It's like arms are like all puffed out. And it did actually like feel really good. I don't know. It might be something that you have to do maybe like multiple times for it to really kind of start to like see some benefits of it. But it was like really relaxing and it felt pretty cool. Just like when you're done, I felt kind of like lighter. I don't know. I just felt like my body was like activated and like I had like a little bit faster movement. So it was cool. I don't know if I'd ever do it again unless I like had to because of an injury or something, but
Was it like a spa weekend? Was your whole weekend like spa-esque or was just like a trip to the spa?
Well, so yeah, we did go, we went to Palm Springs this weekend and just kind of like hung out by the pool for 2 days. And then when we came back, we went and did this like cryo thing in the puff pants. But the cryotherapy, not gonna lie, I was kind of fucking scared about that because, I was reading up on it and it's so obviously it's really fucking cold in there, but it doesn't really have moisture in there. So, obviously there's like a difference between like moisture cold and like liquid nitrogen cold, which is what this is. So the room you go in, I think is negative 215 Fahrenheit, which is crazy, right? If you think about, because you think of like, because I've been in like negative 25 weather before, but it was like snow and stuff. So that felt really, really, really fucking cold. Like I was like, I never want to be in this ever again. So I was like, well, if I was in negative 25 and that felt like I was dying, what does negative 215 feel like? I was like, how can this even be possible? So I like looked into it more, and obviously, there's differences in those temperatures based on it being the nitrogen and stuff. And there's like no like atmosphere in there really. So, but when you go in, it is really fucking cold and so to get the benefits of it, you're supposed to pretty much be in your underwear. But because it's so cold, and for like liability and stuff, they like actually make you, so you have to put on this robe and you put on these mittens and a beanie and like these like furry bedroom slippers that they give you. So but underneath you're just in your underwear. But dude, as soon as you fucking walk in, even with all that shit on, you're just like, holy, they shut the fucking door, and it's just like, wow, like it fucking hits you like a ton of bricks, and it's like so fucking cold. And they actually like let you pick out a song to play to listen to while you're in there, just to kind of like keep your mind busy, and like, you know, she's like sing along to the song and stuff, so you're like not thinking about it. And so we were in there for, I think,
To do Eye of the Tiger.
we didn't do Eye of the Tiger, but that would have been awesome, because we were like sort of arguing over what song to pick. We couldn't really think of what we were gonna listen to. But so we ended up just picking this Ween song because we had just seen them, and that's a song they didn't play at the show. So we're like, oh, like we wanted to hear
I just inserted the mandatory eye roll for you guys.
it.
All right.
We were
On with
just
the
it
story.
was just like too much pressure. So we're like, oh, I'll just fucking pick a Ween song. So we go in there, and yeah, it's fucking cold. We were in there for like 2.5 minutes. And when we came out, what was weird is the only thing that got really cold on me when I was in there. I mean, everything felt super cold, but the areas that actually felt affected by the temperature were my forearms on both arms. And when I came out, I talked to the girl who like was setting us up and everything, and she's like, how did you do? Like, how did you like it? How do you feel? Whatever. I was like, it's weird. It's like, it felt like my forearms were the things that got affected the most by the cold. And she was saying that when you go in there, whatever area feels like the coldest when you come out is typically the area where you have like the most like inflammation or like soreness in your body. And I was like, well, that totally makes sense. I was like, well, I play guitar. And she's like, oh, there you go. Like, that's probably totally why then. So it's weird that it actually like targeted areas that were like kind of like areas I do have issues.
So, what is the benefit of the cryo freeze? Do they keep heads in there? Is it also a place where they store people
Yeah.
waiting for the chance?
Yeah. Walt Disney was not in the chamber with me.
You and Ted Williams
and Austin Powers. Well, no, I mean, I can't pretend to know all the secret benefits of it. This is the first time I ever did it, and I honestly don't know that much about it, but I think the basic premise of it is it like shocks the like endocrine system and your immune system into like releasing chemicals that attack like free radicals in your body. Sort of like it like activates parts of your body that don't typically get activated to like fight inflammation and disease and stuff like that. I think is like the very generic version of like what the thing does. But the girl who helped us, she does it, I think she said 5 times a week. She's a runner, and she had like multiple back surgeries from back injuries from running. And she said it's the only thing she's ever found that like gives her relief from her back pain is doing this.
Wow.
So it's cool. I don't know. Like I said, would I ever do it again? Maybe. I think if I was in like a position where physically I had to do that to get some relief, I would definitely do it. But, you know, it was more of just an experience just to say I tried it, and because I kind of heard about it and wanted to do it. But yeah, I think if you're someone with chronic pain or something, it might be something to look into.
That sounds, I don't know whether that sounds fun or not. Like I said, all in on float tanking. Don't know about freezing my balls off.
Yeah, I'll say this. I've done cold plunges, not like the fucking cold plunge thing. It was like a trend a few years ago or whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
But I went and did when we were in Iceland, we went and did like an actual like official like cold tank plunge thing. And that felt way fucking gnarlier and colder than this cryotherapy chamber did.
Really?
Oh yeah, like that fucking cold plunge, dude. That that's no fucking joke, man. Like that, talk about a fucking shock to the body. That shit. Yeah. I think my fucking dick turned inside out so much it like came out my fucking butthole. Yeah.
Oh,
That shit was
is
fucking
phenomenal.
really fucking cold, man. But yeah, I would do the I think I like the cold plunge better than the cryo tank, but the cryo tank was way more tolerable. But yeah, so that was pretty fucking crazy, dude. But the whole point of that is that so I've done like a cold plunge now. I've done a cryo tank. I've done the puff pants and pump arm things. And I will say that out of all that sort of health and wellness type shit, the float tank is definitely still my favorite.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Damn it.
All those other things are just have like, it's weird because they're supposed to like calm you down, and all those things just have a level of stress and anxiety attached to them, like leading up to the actual act and then being in the actual act is just like all of it's just a little tense. But the float tank is just all about full relaxation and meditation and
Oh, it sounds right up my alley.
yeah, taking all the pressure off your joints and yeah, just being like weightless for an hour. I definitely like the float tank the most out of all those things I've done now.
Oh my God. We should do a podcast from the float tank. Oh, we can mount speakers from the ceiling.
I think that would be a really boring podcast because I've actually fallen asleep in the float tank before.
Dude, I believe it. I
Yeah.
think that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool. I like the float tank. I haven't done one in a while.
So you really had a fantastic fucking birthday weekend.
It really was. It was a really awesome fun week. Like I said, getting to see a band I'd been wanting to see for like literally 30 years. And it just exceeded every expectation I had. So that was amazing. And getting to see Ween, that was cool. And
So
yeah.
you know what was funny is I actually have your birthday in my phone
Mm-hmm.
and totally fucking forgot anyway. Like Amanda's like, what do you mean it was his birthday? I'm like, I don't know how I missed it. Just missed it. It was on my phone. I did everything I was supposed to be as a good co-creator with you and fucking failed.
It's fine. The intention was there. It's actually in your phone. So that's special enough.
No, not really, but
Yeah, I think the takeaway from this episode is go watch Pee Wee's Big Adventure. And yeah, like take care of yourself. And if you're not feeling well or have some pain, there's some shit out there to look into to make yourself feel better. Give it a shot.
sweet.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess we'll talk to y'all next time.
Adios, motherfuckers.
Later.
This podcast was brought to you by Potty Mouth Records. Contact us at pottymouthrecords@gmail.com and find us on the web at pottymouthrecords.rocks. That's .rocks.
That was way better than I expected. That was awesome.